And here we go. Nice. I like when this happens. Oh, Michael, I see you again. How are you doing? Very good. Hey, everybody. And Reka is here. Hello, Reka. And Cyrus. Hey. And Blake. Hey, Blake. Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Thomas as well. Hello. Hi. Oh my God, lots of familiar faces. Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome to my kind of, favorite Fridays. I actually really like this, because kind of Friday is the end of the day and you feel like, okay, like used to be dress down day, I don't know, like, if they still exist, because if anybody still goes to the office, I don't know. But it kind of, for me, is a fun day because, once I kind of do all the work and development and this and that, like this kind of hour that I spend with you here, it feels to me like, like a, most beautiful time I have sharing and showing you all the different things, and today I really, wanted to focus on our fellow cinematographers, who, especially those who are using Red. We have been actually, supporting Red from day one. I think we actually had the Red support even before, we released the software. It was one of the first things we did, for obvious reasons. We do kind of think that Red did a, huge amount of favor to the industry. And we really liked, how what they were doing with the Komodo as well. I felt like, okay, this is the right direction to also take, not just cover the high-end market, but have a camera that has a professional features, but it's actually like affordable as well. And interestingly, I actually just worked with a client of mine, a cinematographer and a director, just prepping his shoot last week. And he decided that instead of like, renting, traditionally camera kit, he was going to go and buy 2 Komodos and shoot the whole movie on those cameras. Actually, buying those Komodos was cheaper than renting them. So it kind of, he said to me, but then the problem came, hey, how to buy it? That's the problem, like, there's not enough of them. So I thought like, hey, it would be interesting, because I've been just, going through this stuff and explaining to him a little bit, how he can use Colourlab Ai and to help everything. And I thought, hey, this is going to be perfect opportunity, guys, to share it with you as well, this type of workflow and everything you can do, and in how we can actually use Colourlab Ai to be also creative. So there is going to be 3 actually kind of modules inside this hour. What I planned is, number 1, what we're going to do is we're going to go and say, okay, let's go and create a look. Let's create a ShowLUT. And I'm going to use that kind of interesting new approach of kind of finding reference images and building a ShowLUT out of that. So this is going to be the first step. But in process of doing that, I want to show you some like really hidden features and tricks with Colourlab Ai that like are not necessary, like most obvious first time you open it and start using it. Then the next thing, I'm going to show you how to handle dailies. So, once you have shot everything, you import media, and then you want to kind of just get it out, get it to be like a, all in the dailies process, and, we have actually done a lot of work to optimize Red rendering, to really be fast in full debuyer premium. We actually really make this whole Red raw processing super simple. You'll see now in a minute. And then, once we finish the dailies, let's say then we come to the final grade and how we can then utilize everything that we used already, in the dailies process and everything, and how we can then accelerate the final grading process. So, we're going to do like literally like all of those, 3 steps, so that you as a cinematographer or filmmaker, you can actually really see, step by step everything, how to do it. As always, like, I hope that we can make this an interactive, presentation. So, feel free. I have a chat window open. Ian is also here on hand to help. And I'm happy to, make like a little breaks as I'm going through the presentation. So that, you know, I can stop and answer questions. And I'm just looking now at the chat, and I can see that Hero is with us, who said that his last film Torvas is on Netflix and it was shot on red. Very good. Hero, good to see you here. I'm so happy that, you know, here. And Luca is with us. Hello, Luca. Very good. Oh my God, amazing. We got a great, you know, I love it. I love it. I love our in the community, you know, like it's really interesting. I have a little announcement to make at the end of it. I just kind of want to do this in a minute, like, you know, first let me go and start, you know, doing this stuff. So just so you know, like, stay with us until the end, because I have a couple of important things I want to tell you there. And then anything else I wanted to cover in the meantime? No, I think we're actually all good. So let's start. So what you know, I'm going to do now is I'm going to simulate a situation that I have now turned up on set, and you know, kind of came up with my camera, and you know, we just did like a first kind of, you know, test shot. You know, this is basically like, you know, before we start, you know, working, you know, we got like a, you know, just the first thing in the camera. By the way, I'm using all the time, you know, red raw, you know, and you know, we are handling red raw without any issues. Actually, we can totally play it in real time as well. And we handle that on a GPU. We actually went behind the scenes and have improved on the Red's SDK to accelerate it and make it more, you know, Mac friendly, Metal 2 friendly out of the box. You know, their SDK is actually very simple. So we really had to do a little bit more work to get, you know, really good performance out of it. And you'll see also when you start rendering with Colourlab Ai, you'll see, you know, benefits of that work, you know, that we put in order to optimize the code. But as you can tell, you know, all of these, you know, settings, you know, for raw are actually here in the shot settings tab. And interestingly, you know, we are reading all of the metadata from the camera, but actually what we did is we have completely limited the amount of options you get with red. And the reason why we did it is because this is something that, you know, I was always, you know, adamant about red. You know, red's color science is just far too complicated. And it doesn't need to be. It is not really anything complicated, really. It should be simple. Like, you know, when you go and use an ARRI camera, what happens is like you have a, you know, one option, ARRI log C, and that's it, you know. And I never quite figured why there is a, like a, you know, a list long as an arm of different, you know, gamma and gamut settings when you open red raw settings. So we kind of thrown all of this away, and we said, no, there's going to be only one option. Actually, we have two options, potentially. Some people like to work it. And that is all you can do. And we'll take control of that. So if you bring us a raw file, we'll look after that for you. You don't have to be the one who has to worry if this button has been pressed, if this comma has been pressed. We'll worry about that. We know exactly which is the best way how red is going to look. And this is to use IPP2 color science, red, white, gamut, RGB, log3G10, as simple as that. And you see, this is actually what, if I would be like designing the software around red, this is exactly how I would make it. I would be like, you know, you want to shoot in RAW, there's this one only option, you know, how you should be able to interpret your material. So basically, this is what we got. We got this red IPP2 kind of as a setting. We have, you know, another option, which is, the, you know, the legacy option. And I have to tell you that we also have another thing, which is a new kind of format. I normally, you know, get little issues, you know, with the red gamut. I'm going to come later to that when I start doing, you know, some sort of, you know, finer grading. And because of that, we have developed a special IDT. You know, this is not something that is actually, you know, red's IDT. This is one that we developed that significantly improves color rendering performance of red. And, you know, this is our mathematic, this is our way of improving, you know, and fixing some of those issues, you know, like with out of gamut, with, you know, some sort of skin tone that are too saturated, with grass that kind of, you know, is a little bit funny, you know, and all of sorts of things, you know, that we were experiencing sometimes with red because of that funny mathematic and that color space that they have created, you know. So this, purely like, you know, for that reason, we developed a separate, you know, type of IDT, which is called LTD. It stands for limited. And actually, you know, it is a little bit friendlier if you're working, especially in the Arilog C, and you want to be more filmic, you know, you're trying to get more to the analog world, you know, this is going to be like your IDT. For the moment, I'll stay with the normal one. I just don't want to kind of, you know, interrupt it right now. When I come to final grading, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to use that. Okay, so as I said, everything is done playing real time. Look, and I'm on a MacBook Pro, I can just press play and the red raw files in full debugger are playing, you know, like that. And this is really, you know, where our engineering team is so brilliant. You know, we have a like great team of people who are, you know, experts in GPU acceleration, and you know, and they've done behind the scenes work that normally Red out of the box doesn't really do. So we got like a very, very good performance, you know, like I think, you know, our performance is on the par with the Final Cut Pro X, you know, that this is probably the application I've seen on Mac performs the best when it comes to Red Raw. Actually even better than Resolve. But you know, like I think, you know, we're like probably like in a ballpark to what we were able to squeeze out of that. All right, so the first thing then I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I just did a shot. This is pure out of the camera Rex 709. Okay, and I want to now go and apply a little look to it. I want to give my client straight away a look that I'm shooting. You know, it's just the best way how to do it. I think, you know, you don't really want to anymore just do Rex 709 and tell people, hey, we'll do it later. You have ability to load a lot into camera, or maybe I'm going to be working with a DIT on set and I want to give the DIT a ShowLUT that we will be using so they can go and do all the work and transcoding and everything like that. So let's start. I have I don't need, you know, hours and hours of time to develop a ShowLUT. I can just do a little test shoot. And while, you know, things are being set up, you know, and getting ready for the first shoot of the day, I can go open Colourlab Ai and start building a ShowLUT. Okay. So I always start with reference stills. I just developed this habit, you know, because I don't know, like, you know, it's just something that, you know, it became part of my kind of texture for a while now, you know, because I somehow always have been, you know, like, you know, I always liked to work like that when I was working with cinematographers. And I think, you know, for me, looking at beautiful pictures is the most fun. Actually, I really get inspired. I certainly could just out of my head kind of come up with something. It's no problem, but I find myself that I really get much more interesting and better results, and I feel more confident that what I chose as a look is actually the right look because I have started with some sort of references. And thanks to Lawrence Scher and ShotDeck site, you know, we have like this incredible, you know, amount of great, you know, in like a, you know, stills here. So since I'm like building a look for like a female model, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just in my filter results, I'm going to say, okay, let me see. So the gender has to be a female, right? And type of the shot that I'm going to choose is going to be a single, right? So it's going to be only like a, actually, you know, not shot type is fine. Let me see, number of people. That's what I'm going to go just to one person, right? And that is then going to start giving me only like a, you know, singles of female actresses, right? And I can then just go through those and start building like a little deck. And that's what I did earlier, you know. So look, I went through this and I'm just randomly picking up stuff that I like, you know, stuff that I feel like looks really nice and inspirational. I'm looking maybe for a particular skin tone. I'm looking for a certain tonality. Sometimes I'm not even trying to kind of, you know, just, you know, copy the actual look. Maybe there's just an element in that look that I feel it's interesting, you know. So I just kind of, you know, start, you know, by collecting some things like that. And I here build a deck which is called the female CUs. And you see, these are the images that I kind of, you know, picked up and I chose as some sort of, you know, short list of images I want to use for this particular project. Okay, so once I got those images, I imported them in and they are here now, you see. And actually then out of those images, I started building a little deck myself because somehow I want to, like, you know, reduce them to, you know, which ones they want. And there is a little this kind of, you know, a mood board I built. So you see all of my images are imported here. And then I just kind of, you know, say, okay, which ones I like this one. And I'm then going to drag it and drop it then onto my mood board. And then, you know, like I can build any mood boards I want, just clicking here, plus I can say create a new mood board. And then slowly I then build like a little, you know, stills library that is my reference for this particular film. So, I can then start just playing with it, and I can just, click on a still. Of course, I could go as crazy as this, isn't it? We could just make something like this, going and stuff like this. And I could start, playing with stuff, like building some looks, playing, just understanding what would this look like? How would that work? What would that happen? And that playfulness is really what is kind of missing sometimes, like sometimes we're just so like, a little bit, rigid, and we're just trying to push this, push that, and focus too much on somewhat controls we're going to do instead of like, just understanding, hey, what can we do with this image? But before I do that, I want to just, tell you one thing, which is very important when you start building these looks. And there is this setting here in match settings. And by default, when we do an auto match, we always match on a multi-frame. We analyze the whole shot and we say, hey, analyze this shot and then find the best match for that shot. But when I'm building a look, that's not the case. I am actually very specific about the frame I want to match. I actually want my particular frame. So I'm going to just press Z to reset. I'm going to, I want the particular frame to be the frame that I'm going to be using as a reference frame. So what you do is you go and you find, if there is a frame, that you like. So for example, it could be this frame, or it could be maybe, this is the maybe nice frame. So you see, like, I don't want to have too much light. This whole scene is going to have this kind of backlight. So I do want to have some of that light to see how, but this is, looking to me like a decently exposed shot. If I look at my scopes, yeah, this is looking whether that kind of the level of exposure is right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, I can say press a T, which is for target on my keyboard, or other option is I can just go into match settings and say match frames set to current frame. Okay, so look, when I do that, I have now like basically told it I want to match to this particular frame. I am actually matching, to this shot. I do not want to match to like a, so look, I can say set to current frame, right? And oh, it doesn't work now for some reason. Let's use specified frame and set the current frame. Why is it not doing it? Interesting. So now I'm basically able to say, okay, now I got this particular frame to be my master. I want to work only of a single frame, and that is an important, difference, because you're going to, instead of, system analyzing everything, analyzing the whole shaboom, getting every shot analyzed, it is actually going to focus to particular frame that you want to match. And that is going to give you just a slightly better results. You're going to be able to work a little bit better like this. You're going to be able to start understanding, I can then, I can just work so that this frame, becomes my frame that I, want to match from. And now you start seeing like a little bit, some ideas, so for example, you see like, this is like, what, for example, this image would give me. Or, let's see, what would this image give me? Like, and I'm pressing just S. And when I press S, this S then allows me then to match from still. And because I set it to be this particular frame, I can then basically, just know how exactly this frame would look like. And then I press 2 on my keyboard to look at my Rec 709. And then I press 4 on my keyboard to look at this image, this tonality. And when I like something, I just press G and I start saving, those looks that I think, could be interesting, are going in the right direction. So let's have a look at maybe this one. This is from Sicario, let's see what would that kind of moody feel do to me. Now, what it did, it tried to match, of course, the lighting and everything, and that's not maybe what I want. So what I do then is that then I press enter, and then I go through my options and I see, hey, is there any option here that could give me approximately feel that I like? And you see Dailies option actually is interesting because it kept that kind of, exposure from the original shot, but used the tonality, from the reference shot, you see, but it didn't change the exposure. The exposure stayed the original. So I'm going to go and grab this one as well. So you see, like, I can just kind of, build some ideas, let's see, maybe what would this shot look like? This is nice and cool, right? So see how that would work. And then see if there's any other models that could kind of maybe give me an interesting result here. Let me see, maybe, I don't know, actually, personally, maybe just, you know, this kind of perceptual one was the best one, but I would probably go and warm it up a little bit more. You know, I would say like, well, you know, I need to get her skin to feel a little warmer, you know, so I would kind of, you know, try to warm it up like that. But because of this white floodlight, you know, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So I kind of, let's go and save it like this. And then, so, you know, you'll come to a frame, and I think it was actually this frame that I found that I thought like it looked actually absolutely beautiful. And you see what it did is kind of, you know, just gave me some sort of, you know, direction I wanted to go into. Like I felt like, okay, let me see, like, you know, maybe that I'm getting the right temperature here. Like, you see, maybe in my dailies mode, I would be like, yeah, you see, this tonality is potentially what I want to do. This is really where I want to go. This is my direction I want to go into, right? This is kind of feels like this warmth, you know, she's inside, you know, an old theater. And I kind of, you know, like maybe like, you know, how would I say? Maybe I don't have to be the best colorist in the world to operate live gamma gain. But as long as I can look at an image and I can decide what I like, I'm good. You understand? It's like, you know, how would I say? It's like, you know, like color grading, you know, is very often like, you know, limiting, because, you know, if you, unless you have spent years operating live gamma gain and you have a huge amount of experience, you know, how to come to a look that you want, you know, it's okay, right? And this is the reason why, you know, most cinematographers would have a DIT with them, hoping that they can actually manage those looks, even though very often DITs are you know, just becoming actually to be skilled in look creation, you know. So sometimes, you know, they go to colorists or color scientists and getting them to build the looks. But, you know, not every project can afford it. Not every project can actually allow you to hire a team of people. So you as a cinematographer, you should be able to go and build these looks yourself. But instead of, you know, mastering all this process of color grading, you can just look at something and you go like, you know what? I like this look. This kind of talks to me. This is probably what I want to do. And this is the idea we're trying to create here. We're trying to just make it a little bit more intuitive. Instead of you just kind of having to operate controls, you can just click on stuff you like and decide, okay, this is an image, this is a feel, this is what I think, you know, should be the right image for me. Okay, so let's say this is my kind of tonality I want. You know, this is really what I want, but I certainly, you know, want to work more on this. This is just a kind of giving me into my ballpark. I love this tone, I love these hues, but I want to work a little bit more on this shot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my show looks. Okay. And in my show looks, I'm going to click here on the plus and I'm going to create a new show look. Okay. So the first thing that I'm missing in this particular shot is the contrast. You know, I love the tonality, but I want this to be crunchier. I find this is always the problem with digital cameras, you know, that the tonal mapping they do is very safe, very kind of done. And I actually like to have a little crunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on my contrast first, right? And then I'm going to go and look and through my contrast curves and find the one that really talks to me. And, you know, like you can see, like, you know, they're all, you know, beautifully designed shaped curves, right? And one of them is probably going to be the one you're going to say, okay, I think I like this one or that one, or this one's working really, really good. And surprisingly, I find this one to be the best. And this is a Kodak 2383. And actually, you know, this reference shot, the way it looks, I can already recognize this was printed on 2383. This is totally that kind of rich skin tone that you get out of film. So I'm going to say, perfect, like give me that contrast. I can actually tune that contrast a little bit. I can say, ooh, look, when I get it, when I crunch it a little bit more, look how beautiful it feels. So let's see one more time. Rec 709, okay? And now with my look applied, my God, you know, look at, we're going already in a vesta. Look, and I'm not even operating live gamma gain. I'm just kind of, you know, clicking and selecting what I like. I'm going like, okay, this is beautiful. This is the way how I feel things should look. All right. So another thing I want to do then is I want this high density color. You see how when you look at this image here, you see how there is like this kind of richness in color in there, right? And look at my Rec 709. It just feels like a little bit kind of flat. The color has been kind of a little bit like, you know, it's what happens, you know, with the digital, you know, it's just doesn't, you know, they don't have this crosstalk and they don't have this richness sometimes. And of course, you know, because this was captured to negative printed, there was like a lot of, you know, there's a lot of density in that particular stock that gives you this, you know, but luckily we have a subtractive for that. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go and start increasing density of my shot in order to create that color, richness that I'm after. And look at it, I'm just basically playing with my CMY and I'm slowly nudging it in that direction. Check it out. Perfect. I'm going, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted. I have this now, like, perfect richness, look before and after. I can click subtractive before, subtractive after, I love it. You see how it kind of just closes image, and you see how closer we are getting to our reference. We are just moving ourselves in that direction. The skin tone is now matching a little bit better. Everything is feeling like, okay, we are in the right direction. Yet I'm not using any film stock profiles. I'm not using any negative or print profile. All I'm doing is applying a contrast curve and designing profile, my own profile using CMY, my own subtractive. Why? I mean, I'm just getting a look I want. I'm not forced to have to use any preset profiles or anything like that. All right. And then what I do now is I can then say, okay, I want to just control the amount of color because, you can tell that this kind of green is popping and her lips are popping a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my post process for film print emulation. And you see how suddenly it brings it into the film gamut, right? Look, before and after. You see how it kind of just, it's not just a saturation, but it's actually actual gamut. And I'm going to just fine-tune this film print emulation to just have the right amount of color inside, so that I feel like, that these lips, they feel similar, that this tone of skin is similar, and I'm basically like, really, really going in that direction. Now, what is also beautiful is we included this kind of global blend here, right? And if I press shift and move this slider, I can actually move it much quicker, and I can then decide how much between Rec 709 and this look I created I can blend. So I do that sometimes as well. I can see just, for example, okay, perfect. I kind of maybe feel like, oh, let me just kind of not be 100% just to look, let me just kind of tweak it a little bit. I like that. I like that always kind of, little, my ability just to add like, some sort of small tweaks, they make a big difference. Okay, this is now my look. Let's have a look. Flat, Rec 709, and now with my look applied to it. This is my 4 on my keyboard is giving me the look. Excellent. So let's exit the look designer. Let's call it, my candy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make it ShowLUT because we have to start shooting. We don't have time for candidates. It's been decided. This is the look. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say, okay, this is my art film look 2, for example. Okay. And we're going to save it. So the first thing then you want to do is you want to then prepare this look. If you have already created it, it's just great that you have it inside your Colourlab Ai, but you need to now make it useful to everybody. Okay. So what am I going to do now is I'm going to go and say G, and this is going to save this look, and I'm going to go and favorite it, and I'm going to go open it up, and I'm going to title it as well. This is my look, which I'm going to call art film show look. Okay. Maybe I can also add a tag to it. Actually, you know what? There isn't really anything I like from these tags, but this is for the theater scene. Okay, I can also describe what it's for. So if I ever come back to it, I can, decide, I can read what it is for and so on, and I can also, assign it to a project, since inside this project I haven't saved, it doesn't necessarily save it to my project. So let's do that and call it art film. Okay, perfect. So now I got it all kind of, my look is saved in internal format for Colourlab Ai, and I have it also as a show look here as well. Okay, now look, if I was now to export the show look, I wouldn't export also the CDL that is part of my look, because my look is actually created out of 2 things. Yeah, so it's created first of all out of color management part, which is this part here that gives me 709. Then it's created out of the actual show look I created, which is giving me just did. And the look itself is then on top of it, my CDL adjustment. And that's a really right way how to do it as well, right? You kind of don't want always to force your LUT to be the look, you know, you have, you know, flexibility, you know, in your CDL to create amazing looks in your LUT just to support it. It's actually quite a good approach in terms of getting like very clean LUTs, because you're not forcing LUTs to kind of, you know, completely, you know, distort image sometimes in order to get to the look you want. Okay, so this is kind of very important. So where I need to export things from is actually here from the timeline, because I want everything to be in my ShowLUT. So what I'm going to do first is this. I'm going to right mouse click onto this icon here, and here I'm going to say, hey, export a LUT. Now, because I'm working with red camera and I need to load a LUT into the red camera, there is something specific about it. Red is forcing you, when you're using a ShowLUT, to use red's tonal mapping. That means they want you to apply a LUT that is going to be inside their native color space, and then red is going to apply mapping to HDR or SDR monitor that they have. So they have an option when you say, what's my output? And then you choose, oh, I want to have high contrast, medium contrast, whatever. They kind of have those settings for tonal mapping. So you have to actually go and say, well, you know what? I need to put this into red, white, gamut RGB, and I need to make sure it's 33 point, because this is maximum size that you can put into red, and I'm going to export that. So the first thing I'll do is I go to my project folder, you know, there we go. This is the movie, and inside my color subfolder, I'm going to call it, you know, art film ShowLUT for red. So it's for the red camera. Okay, so this is a very specific one. So now what I did is I have now created a ShowLUT, you know, just for this particular camera, that I have done only that. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I actually want to create a PDF of what that look is supposed to be, because, you know, maybe further down the line, someone's going to want to use that look, someone's going to want to now compare it and stuff like this. So you want to give them some visual reference. But before I do that, I'm going to go and actually export the whole look just for monitoring purposes. So with the 709, so I'm going to go and do that. And I'm going to go and export, you know, this one. So art film show look, and I'm going to say rec 709. Okay, so now this one is not for red camera. This one is for, like, let's say, me putting it onto my dailies and something like that, when everything is just baked into single LUT. So all I have to do is just put this LUT on my dailies, and I'm going to get this exactly the same look. So with the ODT, with the right ODT applied. So the first thing was going to be, okay, let me give also a reference, because I want to know exactly what thing is going to look like. And the reason why I prefer PDF is because PDF suffers less from gamma issues. When I export a still image, right, that still image is tagged as sRGB, and somebody could open it on one computer and another computer, and there's going to be some sort of differences in the way how it's interpreted, where PDF is consistent. So I'm going to call this, you know, art film show look. Okay, so we're going to do that. This is my kind of thing, page note. This is going to be a theater scene. Okay, I don't want any reference in stills, that's okay. And I don't want any contact sheets as well. I don't want any of that. I only want basically this particular still. And again, I'm going to go and put it back into my project folder inside the subfolder that I call color. And I'm going to call this, okay, this is my, then, you know, like a PDF. So let me show you what you create actually with it. You know, so you create, 1 second. So we go to media, color. So this is the one. Let me open it, and you got it. So you get basically a look with a color palette applied to it, your description, you know, and it just tells you, okay, you know, actually it included this kind of, you know, contact sheet, but that's okay. I should have disabled that one. In any case, you know, you have the reference. So you know, this ShowLUT should give me this particular look. This is the kind of direction we are going to. Okay, so now you're ready to go. Let's say in case you're kind of going to be shooting yourself and you're just going to load everything, you're good to go. Copy that red LUT onto an SD, onto the card, and open a folder called LUTs. And that is going to then allow you to import that LUT into red camera. And then you're going to be able to have a real-time preview in camera of this particular look. Okay, but what if I work with a DIT? What if I have a DIT on set and now I want to give DIT my particular look and I want to tell him or tell her, hey, you know, here I developed a ShowLUT, let me give you profiles for that. I want to actually leave my DIT flexibility to be able to fine tune my look using CDL. So I want to, don't give them just a ShowLUT with everything baked in. I want to give them actually both, okay? So let me show you what I'm gonna do for that. So first of all, what you should be doing is if you're gonna be working with DIT, the better way of working is to go into your project settings. And inside your project settings, when it says this color pipeline, it's better to work in standard color pipeline, okay? So this is gonna change everything, that's okay, we know this, but we'll come back to it because I saved it. And now I'm going to go and just apply this look. It's warning me, hey, you used advanced before. No, but actually it's going to be okay. You know, I'm going to actually just, you know, apply this one. Maybe I need to just do it one more time. Sorry. So let's do this like this. And I'm going to still match it like this. Okay, fantastic. So now I got basically, you know, this particular, you know, thing looking very good. This is the light ShowLUT. Excellent. Let me see the gallery. Well, it's not quite there yet, actually. Let me see. I need to kind of match it further better. I should have been in actually standard mode when I started. I shouldn't have done this. I can apply match to this shot. Let's see if this is going to help. Yeah, this is better. Okay, cool. So what I got now is I have just used match to this show look, you know. So what I did now is I have created a standard pipeline. So let me explain you what the difference is. Advanced pipeline is better for final grading because, you know, we assume that you might have different cameras and so on. And advanced pipeline is better for that because it processes first IDT, then the CDL, then the ShowLUT, and then the ODT. So this IDT is really good for matching different cameras. But when I'm shooting with a single camera and I only have that single camera and I only shoot with that, then standard is very good. I don't really need to go into advanced, and it's easier for the DIT as well because all DIT needs to load is just one CDL and one LUT. So they deal with less kind of, you know, processing nodes and all of that stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, fine, you know, let's now go and export this for the DIT. So the way how we're going to do this, we're going to say, click here on export, right? And there is this option which says export CDL and LUTs, okay? And then it's going to say, do you want to export? Yeah, I want to save it, no problem, right? Color. And then I'm going to make a folder here and I'm going to call it folder DIT, for example, and I'm going to create that. And that is now going to save, as you will see, 3 files for the DIT. Okay, so you can just, you know, put that on a Dropbox for them or copy that onto some sort of USB key or whatever, however you're going to be sharing this information, right? And let me show you what it is. So look, you go here and it's going to give you, first of all, a folder with a CDL. So that's the CDL that you used here to make this shot, okay? Then it's going to give you a ShowLUT that you used to create this shot. And it's going to give you a thumbnail as well. That's going to give them a reference to how exactly this shot is supposed to look. So any DIT is now ready to be set up. They can just open a ShowLUT, load the CDL, compare that they are getting their same result coming from the camera feed and the still image. Make sure that there is no stupid issues like legal full levels. Usually that's kind of the #1 thing I usually check with a DIT. Once they load my profiles, I just go and make sure that the monitors are not switched into some legal full, you know, nonsense, that we are actually working always full. Everything's absolutely fine. Okay, very good. We're good to grow. We say, excellent. We are now ready to start shooting. Okay, and that is really, you know, how you as a cinematographer, you can actually prepare yourself a lot. You can deliver, you know, like a references, you know, for final grading. You can deliver references for in-camera, or you can make a profiles that are necessary for live grade so that the DIT can start working. And you're good to go. How many minutes it take me to do it? Not a lot. You know, I spend a little bit of time, and you know, like the more you do it, the faster you're going to get by doing it. Okay. So this is another kind of, you know, great feature, you know, to do. I wanted, while I'm here, just to show you a couple of things, you know, that are maybe just also important, like a few tweaks and few settings, you know, as well as we are going through. One thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and move. Let's say I went and I finished the shoot. We are done. It's end of the day. I got all the media backed up and given to me, you know, by the IT, or maybe I did it myself. I just kept the cards and I kept going. At the end of the day, I'm now back at the hotel room, or maybe at the back of the studio where we're shooting, and I'm just going to go and prepare dailies. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do that. So let me just go and remove this file, and I'm going to say import media. And then I'm going to go into my folder. And now you see what we did is like, because you know how Red puts everything into subfolders, we just made it simple. You just click onto the, you know, root folder for your media and you say open, and that is then going to go and import all of your clips. It kind of recognizes all the subfolders, and you're then, you know, really good to go. Okay, so we're now imported all of the media. So let's see basically how we're going to start working with this. The first thing I do, by the way, is I change my kind of, you know, thumb description, and you can do it here. You're going to Colourlab, you're going to preferences, right? And in preferences here under thumbnails, right? What you have is you have option to how should Colourlab AI refer to your shots? You can say, well, index in the scene, index in the timeline. Let me show you what the difference is. So index in the timeline, it just gives each shot a number. And that's good if you're like, you know, working on final grading, because you just want to have numbers of shots. But if I'm working in a, like in a way that I'm actually like, you know, doing dailies, I want to see the file name. I want to see exact file name. So I change it to be shot file name. So this is my first thing I do. I kind of say, okay, let's do that. So the next thing then that I'm going to do is I'm going to also go to my project settings here. I'm going to stay with standard. That's okay, because that gives me a little bit more flexibility to whom I can send things. Advanced works only with Resolve. So a standard works with Resolve, with Premiere, with Avid, with any other software you ever want to send to, right? So it's a little bit simpler. Okay, the another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say my smart match. I want to use lift gamma gain and printer lights. The default setting is prefer lift gamma gain. My philosophy about dailies is that I want to do the minimum amount for maximum result. Dailies is about getting to the best possible image with the smallest amount of effort. And printer lights is fantastic for that. You know, actually, you know, many shows I worked on that I supervised as well, I was insisting that we limit ourselves to printer lights only, because like, you know, sometimes, you know, just by you fiddling too much with the lift gamma gain and stuff like this, you actually like, you know, maybe, you know, how to say, you move away from a cinematographer's intent. So I certainly have developed a ShowLUT. I lit it based on that ShowLUT. So I don't really need to reinvent the look massively too much. All I want to do is just maybe balance it a little bit if the light has been changing through the shoot. And printer lights are perfect for that. So this is the reason why I say when I'm matching, I can say, well, you know what? Use lift gamma gain and printer lights, because that way I know that it's going to actually like, or I could just say, hey, just do printer lights only. But I don't want to, when you do printer lights only, it removes lift gamma gain, and I still want to have that tool. So this is a really good kind of, you know, middle ground where I'm using printer lights, but I'm not limited not to be able to use them if I need to. Okay, and another thing I do as well. Well, look, guys, since I'm actually like a cinematographer and I've been shooting and exposing, I don't need to match every shot. All I need is actually to use an option which is called copy only as my default option, because I want to actually, you know, see the consistency to how I was shooting and how things were progressing, rather than me trying to reinvent and match the look on every shot. Okay, so I'm going to say copy only as my default. Okay, so now I'm good. All right, so these are just a few tweaks that I do before I actually start, you know, doing all of this stuff. All right, so now I'm going to go and apply my art film show look, but from my gallery. And the reason why I'm applying it from my gallery is because it is actually going to do, oh, no, I think it was this one. Yeah, was it this one at the end? All right, let's see. Oh, like this is the one. now I can start working straight away with this particular look, and I can just start, moving it and matching everything like that. So this is the first step. But if I was working with a DIT, maybe DIT has done some tweaks for me and has created a CDL for me. Okay, so let me show you how we do that then. In that case, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say, well, I'm going to go and apply just my ShowLUT, only that. And then I'm going to right mouse click on my clip, and I'm going to go and import CDL that DIT gave me. Okay, so let's go now to my CDLs, right? So now this is that DIT folder, and DIT has now copied some CDLs for me. This is the one. I'm going to go and open this particular CDL. Bang, this is the look. Ah, I got it now. So I imported them, what DIT made tweaks for me, what we discussed as we were shooting, how we want to do it. So you have two options always. You can just apply the look you saved if you're just by yourself and just create it, or you could be collaborating with the DIT and bringing the stuff in. Okay, so now I have loaded all of that media, and before I start, I'm just going to go and put my timer. This is kind of what I like to do nowadays. I'd like to see how long it's going to take to match. So this is like a whole scene of dailies. I know, guys, it's not going to be the most exciting to watch it much, but I just really wanted to give an idea to how long it takes to actually match dailies using Colourlab Ai. And this is like, I don't know how many shots we have here, quite a few. Let's see, so let's see how long is it going to take. So I'm going to press start and start auto match now. 46 shots. So now Colourlab is going through it. I actually even left it in the fine precise mode that is going to go and analyze each frame. And it's just going now through each of these clips and is analyzing them. And it's deciding, what is the best, method to matching using, like my preferred method, which is the copy method, use my standard CDL that I have created as a starting point. That means copy only, like, hey, if my starting point, that I got is within the boundaries to give me actually very good results, use that. And then otherwise, I'm going to go and be able to select any other options. And I find that kind of gives me better consistency and better idea to what I was shooting or what cinematographer was shooting and how things were progressing. Okay, so now you can go grab a quick coffee or do something. It doesn't take too long, let's see. And again, you don't have to have a beast of a computer to do this. I'm just on a kind of Intel-based MacBook Pro. The little M1s, Mac Minis are absolutely amazing. Actually, we have a customers, that have two of those, so they with two of them, like, they can, do tons of red dailies a day. They set up, for camera A, one computer, for camera B, another computer, and then, like they process hours and hours and hours of dailies like that, just using those two small M Minis. So it's actually amazing, how far we got, the processing power of these computers is just so good, So let's see. I definitely kind of, want to kind of see. So we are now 1 minute 45 seconds. So let's see, how long it's going to take in total to do it. I do definitely, I'm going to insist to have a little kind of elevator music playing, when we're doing this. And we're going to have to find something like that, just a kind of something to make it a little bit more happening. Like in sci-fi movies, anytime you have something to do with AI, there is this kind of warm kind of female voice talking to you, By the way, our code name for this project was Joy, which is, if you remember Joy from Blade Runner, that was the code name. I kind of always imagined if I would have an assistant, colorist, it should be like Joy, like a hologram. Okay, very good. So now we're there, almost 44, 45 now, and 46. I could have been, by the way, faster if I had been using, not much every frame, but that's not what I want. I want to be precise. And of course, you have to understand, I'm analyzing red raw, and bang, we got the things now working. Now, let me go and first set my shot that I used as an import shot as a reference. and now got it. So it took just under 3 minutes. Now my timer is going, because what I need to do now is I need to go and make sure that I am actually matching things correctly. I need to make sure that I have got things balanced. So let's go. So with my arrow up and down on my timeline, I am moving along. Now, what's really cool is that Colourlab Ai is already giving me the right frame. So Colourlab Ai has already found the right frame for you, that you can see, like, which is the best match. So you see, this is the best reference, but it tells you which is the darkest if you want, or which is the brightest. So, I don't have to play everything. I can just quickly go through it and I say, all right, let me see what the darkest frame looks like here. Perfect. You see, it's looking very good. Let me actually see that, the brightest frame here. It's very good. But you know what? My darkest, I'm going to go and just open it a little bit on Printalize, just a notch, just to kind of get that going. Perfect. Nice. This is good. This is great. This is great. So, and let me see, do I actually see her at all here? Okay, now this is fantastic. I can see her now. Excellent. Now here I'm getting a lot of flare, but that's okay. I don't mind. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and bring saturation just down a little bit, because I don't want, that flare to be, taking everything over. Here, I think I have a little bit too much yellow. So let's see if there is anything that is actually going to help me with that. So maybe, like, my dailies is going to be a little bit too cold, but let me see actually what it looks like if I kind of just compare it. So the darkest frame looks like this, and then best reference looks like this. You know what? I'm going to stick to my, copy only because it gives me that particular mood, but I'm just going to go and take one stop yellow. One stop yellow is too much. I'm going to 1 point yellow. I'm going to go and press shift and yellow, and that's going to give me only half, and that's better. You see, so I'm actually more precise like this. And this is the beauty of Printalize. You have like a just, very rigid kind of grid that you're using to adjustment, and it's very easy to do it. Perfect match, perfect match, perfect. This one also needs maybe half a point less yellow. So I'm just going to do that. Perfect. I got that going, right? Maybe let me see if I was just to do a little bit less red as well. Yeah, I needed to take red out as well. Perfect. This one is a little bit too I feel a little too contrasty, maybe because of the light. Let me just check quickly. So this is my darkest, this is my brightest. Okay. Actually, you know what? I want to go and open this one up just a few points. Perfect. We got it. Nice one. Looking good. Looking good. Looking good. Excellent. Looking great. This one as well. Let's see what happens here. Nice. Happy with it. Happy. So, oh, this one is a little bit darker, right? So there, oh, it's because she's not in that light. So let's see now, my brightest is this. So if this is my brightest, then I'm definitely going to open it a little bit just on the L channel. Nice, nice, nice. This one's great. I love this shot. You see how it's matching really well? Perfect. Nicely shot, as well. So I don't have to go and reinvent the look on every shot. This is exactly what I mean. Sometimes you don't really, guys, want to go and regrade it. You hope that, you did actually, a pretty good job. Now here, I want to get a little bit creative. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not sure for this kind of wide scenes, what we really want here. So I'm just going to go and make a little bit of another marker, I'm going to make this shot a reference. And, you see the mood of this whole scene has changed, as well. This was the last part of the shoot. And I am going to go and just a little bit, recreate this look. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more warmth. I want it just to be a little warmer than the rest of the shot because I lost that kind of, flare. So I'm trying to give that a little bit life like this. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to reference that, and then I'm going to go and analyze the rest of the scene using this as a reference because, it's a slightly different kind of setup, so I want that just to kind of get a little bit better match. Okay, perfect. Let's see what we got now. Nice, 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 nice. All of this I'm actually really happy with. And this one, I need to go and just take some of this red out to fix the skin. Nice, maybe one less. And we're going to go and just take some of the saturation as well. And now I'm done. Let's see my timer, what's happening. 7 minutes, 58 seconds. So this is how long it took me to color grade dailies for this whole scene. 8 minutes. You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the power of kind of working in this way, because it just saves you a ton of time. Okay, now I'm going to go and say, okay, great. Let me go and render, this stuff. So I'm going to say movie export, render all shots. They want to work in ProRes 422. So I want to have a ProRes 422, 1920, 1080. You don't have 1 million options, which is also nice. You can't make a mistake. What's going to happen? 709. We're also going to color manage those correctly for you that they get 709. I'm going to go and do a start render, and I'm going to go and render dailies. I'm not going to render dailies for you guys now because you probably get the idea, but try it yourself. Get confident that the speed is correct, that you're getting really good performance out of your rendering pipeline, because we have worked a lot to make this rendering really, really fast. Okay, once I have finished that, I'm going to go and render dailies again. Okay, so render all shots, but this time I'm going to be using H.264 in 1920, 1080, Rec. 709, and this is something I'm going to upload to my Frame.io account so that production can remotely review everything I shot. So this is my second part I'm going to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a contact sheet. I want to email, director, producer, whoever it is. I'm going to tell them, hey, dailies are ready. Here are the, here is the contact sheet of what it is. So I'm going to go and say dailies, right? I'm going to say art film dailies. Okay. I want to go and say, the reference stills, I'm going to go and say none, but the contact sheet, I'm going to say all scenes. Okay. And now I'm going to say export PDF. And again, I'm going to go and say contact sheet dailies. Oh, it's already saved it for me. Fantastic. And I put it again into my color folder. So you see what it's going to do now. It's going to do a slightly different type of reference PDF. This reference PDF is going to have all of your shots nicely lined up. Okay, let me show you. All of your shots nicely lined up, and you can just, oh, this was a ShowLUTs scene, sorry. And I want to actually do dailies. Perfect, this is the one. And you have all of them here. I should have actually, part on a different shot as a hero shot, but never mind. So look, every shot is nicely graded, and they can then see to what it's gonna look like. You can just email it to them, and you can say, hey guys, have a look. I already graded dailies. They're uploading to Frame.io, and then I'm copying your ProRes files, or uploading maybe even ProRes files, whatever, how you want to work. Everything's ready. But you can put this already now in an email while it's everything uploading, so everybody knows what's happening. Production is already informed. They can see how shots will look like. They can compliment how beautiful it is. Thank you for amazing work, blah, 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 blah. You know the score, right? This is a kind of good customer kind of, for service approach. All right. Now, what you want to do is you want to also say, well, hang on a moment, I want to now also prepare them for, if they decide that they want to grade, because I'm a cinematographer, they don't want me maybe to grade. I want to give them everything that they need to be able to do this. So in order to do that, what I can do a couple of things. The first thing I'm going to go is I can go to my ShowLUT I created, right? I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to say export as cube, and I'm going to leave it as a, I'm going to just make it 65 point. And this is just a ShowLUT. Okay, so this is the ShowLUT just for them for final grades. I'm going to go and say, this is the ShowLUT for grade. Okay. So now this is saved, and just in case if they're going to be grading it, it doesn't matter if it's a DaVinci, if it's a Baselight, Nucoda, whatever system out there is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say export, and export CDL and LUTs. And what is this going to do is going to create a new folder, yeah, which is for them. I'm going to go and make this new folder like this. I'm going to say this, dailies grade, okay, and this is now going to go and export. Let me just call it again, dailies grade. Okay, and what this is going to do is going to export CDL for every shot with a still reference image, and it's going to give. So you can just tell them, this is how I created dailies. This is exactly all the CDLs and LUTs you need to get exactly the same results that I've been getting. If you guys decide to use my work, you know, when you want to start grading, it's totally up to you. You know, and you hope that the colorist who's going to start doing this job is actually going to go and say, well, actually, I'm going to save myself time. I'm not going to start doing this manually grading. I'm just going to import what cinematographer did, and I'm going to start grading from there. Okay, so there we go. This is basically how I was now able to prepare my dailies, render all of that, and make it all look just absolutely beautiful in a like record amount of time. And not just that, I communicated with the production exactly what they're getting. I made ShowLUTs for my DITs if I need it, for my camera if I need it, for final grade if I need it. I kind of have prepared everybody to be able to, you know, like understand all the right color decisions that we have used in this project. So what is now left is to do the final grade, okay? But I'm not going to be able to do this final grade now. I think the time is now like already running out. It's 11 o'clock. We only were supposed to have this 1 hour training, but this is something we're gonna do next week. Next week, I'm gonna open a cut. I'm gonna go and use Colourlab Ai to do the grade. I'm gonna recover all of these color decisions that we have used originally and gonna use that as a starting point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then, you know, match it on Colourlab Ai, grade it. I'm also going to show you all the tricks I'm going to be using inside DaVinci for secondaries, how to accelerate that process. And we're going to go and do the grade, the final piece that we're going to deliver in SDR and HDR in a record amount of time. So this is happening next Friday. So hopefully, guys, you're going to be able to tune in for that. Now, for the end, I have a little bit maybe time for some questions. Okay, if you ever have a problem, just hit us on help@Colourlab Ai. Okay, this is our official helpline, and you know, Marcello, Ian, myself, Mark, you know, Ray, all the developers, we are monitoring the channel, and we are going to be always there to help you with that. For also, guys, if you have updated to 17.2 DaVinci Resolve, you must use Auto Updater. We have released an update that fixes some of the compatibilities issue because DaVinci has upgraded some of the back end. So we have, you know, adapted to that. You will need to use the latest version that we have released in order to work with 17.2. Otherwise, everything works exactly the same. And then I have one more announcement to make, which is this. I have already kind of told you that this is going to happen, but now it's definitely happening. We're happy to announce that next month, starting on the 31st of May, I am working with SMPTE to deliver color managed workflows course. Actually, you know, if you've been doing my color managed workflow course, and if you did anything like Winter Look Academy or Summer Look Academy, you're covered. You probably know all of this. But if you are new to color management and you also want to get certification that is officially recognized, it is SMPTE certification for color management. This is an amazing course for you. And the great news is this: we managed to convince them that now that we are opening it, we should give 50% off to anybody who signs now. And I think this kind of, you know, discount is going to disappear next week. I'm not sure exactly, you know, what they're going to do, but we have just said when we are doing announcement, please let people that we work with that are following us, give them a special deal. And we want to do it like this. I'm announcing it directly to you now, so you can go and, you know, get registered and get in this. It's a 5 weeks course, by the way. It's full on. It's not, I mean, you cannot get a SMPTE certification through like a 1 hour study, that's for sure. So this is another, like, you know, a little announcement I wanted to make. All right, now, anyway, anybody has a question? I saw a hand there. Ian, how was the chat? Anything in particular you want me to answer, and so on? So go ahead, please, and let me know what was happening.
Any questions?
I can, yeah. So Rakesh asked, how do you link CDLs to the footage in the grading suite? Oh, very good question, Rakesh. So look, Baselight has got a feature which is called Smart Paste. Okay, look, the reason why, how you link it is very simple. When we export this CDLs, we're going to go and basically give each CDL a name of particular clip that it's supposed to be assigned to. So you see, like, it's A01 CO7 is the actual media file that this CDL belongs to. Okay, and then we put also time code of that particular clip next to it. Okay, so then you know, if it's the first frame of that particular clip, it's just then 000. Okay, so this is a kind of how you can do this. Now, with DaVinci Resolve, you can actually do this so that you can just push the whole thing to DaVinci Resolve. This is also possible to do. You don't have to really, do it like a manually, CDL by CDL. As I said, Baselite does it fully automatically. And I believe, Scratch and applications like this can do it fully automatically as well. If you want to kind of do it like also a little bit more automated, instead of doing just a single CDLs, you can also use this option, which is called Export and ALE. Okay, this is a format that has all of the clips in a single file. And this ALE is compatible with Avid, but also works in DaVinci as well, and also works in Premiere as well. So maybe this is a training I'm going to do for one of the future classes, how to move CDLs to applications like, Avid and what was the other one? Premiere. They can also read these CDL values. So this is the answer for Rakesh. Excellent. Anything else? Michael asked, how faster are they? Is there a legacy limited? Joao, I'm not sure what is the legacy limited. How your new limited science address the different red sensors is an example. Helium so different to Monster Gemini. Actually, Thomas, we don't worry about that. What we do is we actually take everything that is sitting outside of that visible gamut, and we handle that. So we are not really modifying the actual look of the camera. We let Red SDK do all the IPP2 conversion. Okay, what we do then post the Red SDK, we impose processing, but that processing is only handling stuff that is outside the visible spectrum that can actually cause these kind of gamut errors and gamut shifts when you start moving into different color spaces. So we actually don't do anything else. Yes. All righty. Okay, Rakesh said he's going to have a great little project to do it. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? Are you all happy? All good? You love it? And of course, this presentation wouldn't be in this presentation if there was not at least one question. When is the Windows version going to come? That's another $1 on my kind of account. I'm nudging towards a millionaire, for the Windows questions. It's coming. It's coming. I can only say that, guys, we are really working hard to, you don't know what another great feature we're working on. And as soon as we have completed that, we will be ready to start porting to Windows. We have some amazing stuff coming. We have like incredible few new things going on. So you have to just bear with us to finish the very important AI parts completely. And then, we'll be ready to move it to Windows. It will be worthwhile, trust me, because when we decide to move it, it's going to be so much quicker. So it is definitely happening. We had this week actually a meeting with another very big company that is going to be supporting us on that effort, and we are 100% committed to do it. It's just, this is a startup. We do as much as we can with the resources we have, and we hired a new developer last month. This is his first month. He's an amazing new addition to our team, so we are accelerating a little bit some development. But as I said, until we didn't do the two more important AI features that are missing right now, we're not going to start moving into Windows direction. In the meantime, go and get a little cheap $600 M1 and you're going to be sorted.
I think you're going to start getting dollars for iPad questions too.
Yes, you know what? We don't want to be over enthusiastic until we don't get it. I made that mistake like, end of last year with that Atomos monitor. I was so enthusiastic about it. They promised me that all the mistakes that the monitor had were going to be fixed with the software release. And only like they got it 6 months later, that software release. I really felt bad about it. So I don't want to overpromise anything anymore. Let's get this iPad delivered. We ordered few for us. When we get it, we're going to start working on it. We're going to like analyze the shit out of it, you know, what it can perform, what it can't perform, what's the really performance of the display, what's not. And then once we do that, then we're going to make firm, you know, claims to what we can do with it and what we can't do with it. You know, I just kind of learned the hard way that it's as much as it looks great on the paper, let's get it into our hands, and then let's go and you know, really figure out what we can do with it and then make an exact promise. We have everything lined up to start working on an iPad version. We just really need to get the first hardware unit sent to us so we can start analyzing what's happening. Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this training. I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing you all next week when we're going to be doing the final grade of this project. And then, you know, we're going to be learning after that, you know, some more useful tricks. If you have any specific questions and you want me to help you with anything, you want this training to cover some stuff that is really important for you, Thomas, I will have a special lesson just for iPhone users, so you don't have to ask that question. I will 100% do 1 hour just for iPhone HDR. Let me know, and I will be happy to kind of schedule in one of our future weeks one of those training courses. So looking forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you so much for being part of this. And yeah, hope to see you all soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Everyone.
Thank you, and for your help.
Thank you.
See you then.
Thank you.
Bye, 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 bye.